Therese Scarlatti, thank you for joining us on the All Night Channel.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
We wanted to be talking to you about a group that you have organized. And I would say for the audience, we have been hearing a lot around the country about people getting involved at school board meetings, not liking what they're hearing is being taught in their schools. I will tell you, years ago when I lived just outside of Washington, D.C., when I was working at C-SPAN, my children went to the Loudoun County schools. And recently, Loudoun County, the very school district that I used to have my kids in, has been getting national attention because there have been hundreds of people showing up to go to the school board meeting up there, and say they don't like the teaching of critical race theory, and they're pushing back. And you now have also started a group of people to get involved somewhat in the same venue, as I understand it. Tell us what it is you're doing, the name of your group, and why you started it.
The name of the group is Amplified, and we're in the Chicago suburbs. And the reason we joined together is to really reach out to our communities, educate and empower and energize and get our communities into school boards, learning about school boards, what they're doing, local elections. So we gathered together. We started as a very small group and we have grown exponentially. And we are working to encourage people to be more involved in their communities.
Is this a partisan group? Are you associated with one of the political parties?
We are conservative, but we are bipartisan. We welcome everybody that wants to be involved. So we don't isolate ourselves. We want to educate everyone and empower everyone to be part of the election process and part of your school boards and your local elections.
And what was when did you started this in January? I think you said. What was
Yes.
the impetus to starting it? Why did you get this going in January? I mean, because a lot of times people are concerned. What was the straw that broke the camel's back that said, I've got to do something?
I think we saw that there was a breakdown in our Constitution, that the 1A, or First Amendment was being attacked, our constitutional rights were being attacked, and there were things that we've been watching in the schools for a couple of years, but we were seeing that there was more and more attacks on our Constitution, and we are very strong constitutionalists, and that we felt that we needed to join together and to ensure that our Constitution is followed and taught in schools, and that is what really was the impetus of the beginnings of this in January.
And when you say that you anti-Constitution, are you saying that it wasn't being taught in schools, that the American style of government wasn't being taught? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, it wasn't being taught and it's not being followed. We felt that that through some social media that we see that our First Amendment rights were being attacked, and it was trickling over into our schools. So we've been seeing it across the board, and we became very concerned, and we wanted to make sure that our local elections are followed correctly with voter integrity, and that our school boards are reflecting the values of our Constitution and our country that was founded upon.
So you started in January, and where are you now? And first of all, how many people are involved in this group? How big is it is it just your school district, or is it more than that?
We started with 3 at a table in January, and we're over 60 right now, and we are gaining every day. We have joined other groups too, and which we'll get into a little bit later, that we're joining together to unify other groups that are on the same track as we are. We have a core group of 7, and we have over 60 people that we are always in contact with. We go to all the school boards. We send our members into school boards that may not have families that want to go and speak, or may not be as informed and have asked us to help them. So we are going to many different school board meetings, and I have a great core group, and so it's not just our local school group, but it's multiple school groups throughout Illinois.
When you say you go to the school board meetings, what is it you do when you go there?
Our members speak. We also have handed out literature and information to other parents that are there that are concerned, and how to get a hold of other groups and ourselves to inform them. So we give them links and web links, and we offer training, and we offer our assistance to those parents that may not be standing up, but maybe in an overflow room, or just are asking, how do we get involved? And we hear, how do I get involved, every day by multiple people.
And why? Are they concerned about the Constitution, as you brought up, that we've heard about critical race theory? That's what's going on in the Loudoun County schools in Virginia, and why so many people there got so animated, and one of the parents was arrested recently because it was such high emotions. Are you worried about critical race theory in the schools here in Illinois? Are there other issues? And not just with you, but when you say you get a lot of people are joining your group, what is it that's animating them to say, I'm going to get off the couch and do something?
The critical race theory is a huge driver right now for parents, but the SB 818, which is the sex ed bill, is also a huge driver, and that is as parents are becoming informed, or we are informing neighbors and community members of what is in the SB 818, which is the sex ed bill, which starts teaching children about sexual intercourse in kindergarten. That is a driver too. So the critical race theory, the sex ed bill, and really the lack of our children being educated properly is really a huge driver, that our scores are dropping, and we're not meeting some of the goals that they should be, but we're pushing the critical race theory and sex ed. So that's a big driver for a lot of parents. Along with COVID mandates. Sorry, along with the COVID mandates and the masks and the vaccines, that's another huge driver.
I started to say, and I think you would agree, a lot of people, a lot of parents don't know what's going on in the schools. And then, they think it's the same as when they went to school back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, whatever. And they don't know that, no, things are changing, that the schools have an entirely, in not all cases, but in a lot of cases, they have an agenda where they're either teaching that America is a racist country, not teaching it that we're the land of the free and the home of the brave, but putting out there sometimes a curriculum that is on civics, antithetical to the American way of government, number one. And as you mentioned, sometimes they're shocked to find out what's being taught now as far as sex ed. Let me play a clip for the audience who, like many parents, may not be aware of some of the things going on. This clip is actually a debate from the Illinois House of Representatives, where Republican State Representative Tony McCombie is in debating the Representative Lilly, who was the bill sponsor of SB 818. And Tony McCombie is bringing up the radical or shocking bit of sexual education that are going to be taught to young children. Let's take a listen.
Actually defining sexual intercourse for your 10-year-olds as having sex, in quotes. That can involve the penis and the vagina, or the mouth and the genitals for your 10-year-old, or the penis and the anus for your 10-year-old.
So that was from the House debate. As I said to someone else, that it might be the first time the House debate was X-rated, but again, this is something that's going to be taught to not high school kids, but 10-year-olds, as Tony McCombie was saying. And I think this is the kind of thing, maybe you're fine with it. Maybe as a parent you think that's great, but there's an awful lot of parents who don't think this is great. They're not fine with it, and they don't even know this is happening. And so I think, one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is because politics doesn't always happen under the Capitol dome. And it's not always just about, whether you're wanting to raise taxes or cut taxes. There's a lot of other issues, like what we just heard there, like whether we're raising students who are learning about America the first time and how the three branches of government, and maybe they're learning that instead of it being founded where all men are created equal, that they're saying, no, America's a racist country. They may want to know that this is happening. So I think, and I'm saying for your benefit, that I think this is it not, the purpose of your organization and what you're trying to offer some pushback to?
Yes, it is. We want pushback. We want our communities to be very well versed in what's going on in their school districts, whether they have children entering in that school or not in that school. If you pay taxes to that school district, you should know what's being taught in that school, and that is we need our children to be taught the basics. We don't need them to be taught the sex ed. We don't need critical race theory, which is actually creating divide between races, and we are looking for unity. So that's what we really are about. We want our communities to be educated and to get them energized to be involved in their school boards. Even if you don't have children in that school, those children are all part of your life. They are going to be the people in your life caring for you as we grow old as well. So you don't have to have a child in that school for it to not be part of you and part of your community.
Teresa, you told me that your group is going to have a gathering in July. When is it, and what's the purpose of the gathering?
July 25th, and what we're doing is we're unifying all the groups possible that are across Illinois that are in the same focal group of looking at school issues, including CRT, SB 818, which is the sex ed bill, COVID mandates. We also have on our list is voter integrity and our constitutional rights, and all three of those tiers we want to look at, but we want to unify all the groups and get work together. And so that is July 25th, and it'll be in Elmhurst, Illinois. And so we are inviting people to come and join arms and unify together to work together especially for our children, and for our voter integrity, and for our Constitution to be held to the way it's supposed to be, and recognize our First Amendment rights and our Second Amendment rights, and that's what we're doing. So we're unifying. We
have the email up if people want to request more information. But as you say, there's a number of different groups scattered, and this way you have more resources. You can find out, I imagine, you're going to be talking about how you can work together. You're not a nonprofit. You are not a nonprofit, right? You're just an organization. You're not even incorporated, are you? You're just a group of people with a name amplified, and there's no real legal structure to it, I guess.
No, we don't want to raise money. We just want to raise awareness. We want to bring our community together. We want to empower people and energize people in our communities on all levels of local government. And so we don't raise money. We don't endorse candidates. All we do is educate, inform, empower, and energize, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
And so you're building, I guess, your groups now. You have people who are hearing about you by word of mouth, who are joining your organization or want to get involved or want to show their support, I guess, by going to whatever meetings you're going to, whether it's school board meetings or I don't know if they have meetings on elections, or do you have any kind of a written agenda or strategies, or is this coming up on the 25th of July going to be more like a brainstorming session?
No, we have a very defined agenda, extremely defined agenda. So we are going to have some very well-known speakers that will speak to all of the three categories that I spoke before about, and we're going to do some training on some social media platforms to assure that people are getting information so that they can be involved. Witness slips, bills that are coming through. So we have a social platform that we've chosen that we're going to train people on. So that's part of our agenda. So we will have a panel to talk about voter integrity. We'll have speakers on critical race theory. We'll have speakers regarding the COVID mandates and the vaccines. So it's going to be a really informative and empowering summit. We call it a community leadership summit.
You know, as we tape this, we're going into the 4th of July to celebrate American freedoms. And it strikes me that this is a modern day version of what happened 50 years ago or so. That just citizens who didn't like what was going on with the British, which was the government of the time, and they ended up, not that you're going to overthrow the American government, that's not the point,
No.
but that concerned citizens are getting involved and expressing their concerns, and that's the way it should be. That's the whole point of American freedom, is that we have the power, and the power is with the people, not with the government people. Elected people can be elected, they can be defeated in elections. And somewhere in between, they're also there to hear the grievances and concerns, whether the concerns are founded or not. That's to be hashed out in discussion. So I think it's very much of an American exercise, what you're doing.
Yeah, it truly is. Our First Amendment is our most cherished amendment, and that is what we are using, and that's one thing that we want to protect with everything we have, because as we go into 4th of July, we want to look at why we have independence, all those that fought for that right of speech. So we want to carry on that, and we're very, very happy to be serving our communities and working with our communities and unifying all the other groups. So yeah, so the 4th of July is a perfect example of why we are amplified.
We have your email up there so that if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can do it through the email. And Therese Garlotti, we appreciate you joining us. We'll like to hear maybe a follow-up after the 25th and hear what you achieved, and touch base with you to see what's going to happen in the future.
I would love to, and thank you. And I have a fantastic team behind me, and we are a great team. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the amplified patriots that are behind us.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.